Remember the Magic 8 Ball that we had growing up? That thing was a lot of fun. You'd shake it and you'd get the answers to the most important questions of your life. Well, we're going to have a little fun with that concept this week here on the podcast, the Magic 8 Ball of retirement. Let's get into it.
In football, the red zone is where a team has to make small adjustments to ensure victory. As you approach retirement, you also need to make small adjustments to ensure success. This is the Red Zone Retirement Program with registered investment advisor and enrolled agent John Mears of Mears Money Management.
Hey everybody, welcome into the podcast. Thanks for hanging out with John and I as we talk investing, finance, retirement. Coach, what's shaking, buddy? How are you?
We're doing good. We're in the middle of football season. So far, we haven't lost a game, but there's 10 games. We've only played 3 so far. There's still a lot to go. But
3-0 is pretty sweet.
3-0 is better, and we haven't punted yet, which is kind of nice. So we're scoring points.
Nice.
But can't guarantee that for my clients that we can always be mistake-free throughout our entire lives where everything's going to go smooth.
Right.
There's always going to be hiccups. But so far, so good in the football world.
There you go.
So hopefully, yeah, we'll see. I don't have a Magic 8 Ball, though, on the side.
On that, yeah, exactly.
I should. Should I throw the ball, throw a pass?
Hey, try it, right?
Yes.
So, maybe sometimes people use the Magic 8 Ball approach to their retirement planning, which is probably not very scientific.
Looks like it sometimes.
But we'll have some fun with it. So we've got kind of like the different list, the things that it used to give you the answers. So we kind of stacked the deck here for you, Coach. So I've got some questions for you with the Magic 8 Ball kind of response. I'll let you kind of give us that and then roll into what a professional response might look like.
Yes.
Versus
Maybe I should just have that on my desk, just the Magic 8 Ball. That's how we're going to do our planning.
It could be fun. I mean, if nothing else, it's an icebreaker, right? So
it is. I know a guy who has a crystal ball on his desk.
Exactly. Never works. Right. Never works.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, let's get into it. Let's have some fun. All right. So let's see here. So the first one is $1 million enough to retire on? What say the Magic 8 Ball?
The reply is hazy. Try again.
Do you remember that? I remember that one. Yep.
Yes, that was always the answers when I had the Magic 8 Ball was, does the girl like me? That sort of
reply hazy or outlook not good.
Yeah, that's what it always was. Outlook not good. But so is $1 million enough? It depends. It depends on if you have other income sources. It depends on your expenses. It depends on, and that may depend on where you live.
That's a lot of it, isn't it? Where you live? And how you live?
Definitely the cost of living, the tax situation, all that sort of thing. So what I tell people, if we're using a dynamic distribution rate, and I've mentioned this in many podcasts before, if we're using a 60-40 portfolio, pretty moderate, pretty bland, the distribution rate, according to the academics, is around 5.4%. You can forget the 4% rule. So it's around 5.4%. That's $1 million. It's $54,000 a year, roughly. And is that going to be enough? Again, we can put that chunk into our calculations, but we also have Social Security. We may have a pension. We may have higher or lower expenses. So
that goes a long way, Coach, right? It's like if you got a pension, $1 million could totally change the game for what you want in retirement.
Correct. So $1 million may or may not be enough, and that's why it's a little bit murky on this. So it may be. Now, if that's your only source of income completely, maybe not. But if you have other sources or you have lower expenses, then it could be.
Well, okay, so think about it this way, Coach. So if you got $1 million, and we just go with the 4% rule just because it's easy math for a second, and you say $40,000 a year, first of all, I think the first question you got to ask yourself is the $1 million totally yours? Because depending on what account it's in, it may not be totally yours.
Yes, we always talk about if you have an IRA or 401k, you have this unwitting partner with you that is attached to you that you can't get rid of, and that partner is the Internal Revenue Service. So if you have $1 million, depending on how this is spread out, I always tell people just count on 30% of it going to the other guys. I won't say the bad guys, but the other guys. It's going to go to, in our case right now, it'd be Joe and Gavin. So that's who's going to get your chunk of your 401k or your IRA. So that's a very good question, which will result in other types of planning, perhaps for some tax planning and doing Roth conversions and whatnot. And this is the time.
Well, it's going to somebody. Not to get too political, but Joe's on vacation, and he's been on vacation for one third. Actually, I just saw this crazy thing in New York Post yesterday. 1/3 of his presidency, he's been on vacation. So. Would that be kind of I wish I could be on vacation 1/3 of the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, we should be on vacation 1/3 of the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of
so
wild.
get
Anyway,
more.
all right. So Magic 8 Ball says, reply hazy, try again on the $1 million. So that's why it's important to stress test your plan and your numbers to kind of see where you're at. Because what if you're working to push to $1 million and you find out 750,000 actually gets the job done? You already got that, and you could retire earlier than you expected. That could be a nice
Absolutely.
bonus, right?
Absolutely.
So, but then
I find
again,
that out sometimes.
yeah,
Yes.
but then again, maybe it's 2 million and you got to keep going. So get the numbers.
Yeah.
All right, Magic 8 Ball. What say you on, can I rely on Social Security for my retirement? What say the Magic 8 Ball?
It says outlook not good. So the reason why is because Social Security, there's a number of reasons. And I was just listening to my own mother complain about this the other day.
Mine too.
The cost of living increase is going to be pretty small compared to what we are actually in the real world experiencing in inflation.
Yeah.
So that was her lament, and she wasn't getting political. She was just frustrated that
It's
I
just a
think
fact of life. Yeah.
yeah. The estimate right now, I think, is around 2.4, 2.5% that the COLA increases. And she's experiencing greater expenses than that.
It makes it a diet cola, Coach. It makes it a diet cola.
It's the big can down to the small can.
Yeah, it's a diet cola.
So,
right.
so that's the frustration people have. So if Social Security is what you're relying on, then no,
Yeah.
I would say that is not a good outlook. So
Well, okay, let me put my own mother into this, Coach, because can you do it? Yes. Do you? The question probably becomes, is that really the retirement that you want? My mom's doing it, but she's not happy about it, right? You know, so she's not living the retirement dreams that she had because she made some financial mistakes. And now, you know, she's reliant solely on Social Security. So can it be done? Sure, right? And which, again, outlook not so good, but it's not the retirement that you dream of. You know,
no, and again, is something we're going to rely on, and some people have no choice but to rely on it. But if we are planning and we're trying to get ahead of the game here, it's not something we want to be relying on. It is a supplement. It is, or it could be a very big part of our planning. And I do like Social Security. Again, not getting political here. They're going to print the money if they need to. I don't think it's ever going to be insolvent, despite all the headlines you may hear. They're going to print the money. Of course, there's the flip side to that if they print the money. But if you're not going to not have Social Security. It's going to be there, and it is guaranteed for life. So it is.
I mean, it
helps with longevity.
It's the third rail of politics. They're never going to touch it till the last second. And at this case, that's probably 2032. So,
Yes,
you know,
we're guessing.
You'll see commercials right now where one side says the other side's doing something to it. But the reality is no one's probably touching it until 2032.
Nope. Absolutely. No, that's a hot potato for any politician.
So rely on it. Probably not. Right. Rely on it. Probably not the best idea for sure.
Correct.
All right. Magic 8 Ball. Is it wise to have multiple sources of retirement income? Well, if you think about our prior question, sounds like it's pretty wise to do so.
It is certain. That is what the Magic 8 Ball says.
Nice.
So yes, we want to have multiple sources of income. And that could be, again, Social Security. It could be a pension. It could be just savings that you may have. We can also have a source of income. We've talked about this in a podcast a couple months ago with a HECM. You can use the home equity conversion mortgage as a source of income. There are multiple ways we can skin the cat. Yeah. So, and if you're looking for that, go to What the Heck is a HECM from a couple months ago, and you'll see a whole discussion about this.
We'll put a link in the show descriptions on YouTube here for you to reference back to that podcast, folks. You want to check that one out.
Yeah. So that could be a supplement, again, to your Social Security. Let's just use your mom as an example. If she only has Social Security, then that might be something to look into a HECM if she owns her own home and she's over the age of 62. So there's other things we can do to supplement this. And again, if we're planning just before you get to retirement, it doesn't have to be 20 years before retirement, but as we're heading there, we can look into whether or not that is, what other options you may have as far as sources of income.
Yeah. And again, multiple sources, not a bad idea at all. And it's clearly going to relieve some stress on the situation. And again, the point of doing a plan and a strategy is stress testing various scenarios, and having those multiple income sources is going to certainly make that a whole lot easier. So it is certain, say the Magic 8 Ball.
Yes.
All right. Should I review my retirement plan annually? Magic 8 Ball.
Magic 8 Ball says without a doubt. That is definitely something we want to be doing. It's getting that time of the year as we're recording this. We're getting ready for our October reviews. I usually meet with people twice a year. I don't think you need to meet with people 4 times a year. That's a little overdoing it, in my opinion. There might be things we talk about in between here and there, but I like to talk to people in the spring, right around tax season. And then in October, towards the end of the year, so because we have a kind of a history of what's going on in the current year, and then we also always want to be projecting out. And this also we do our Roth conversion projections and other tax issues here. Taxes, if you haven't guessed by now, is a big theme both in March and in October when we're talking with clients. That's the big elephant in the room. But we always want to be revising our plan because of the tax rules. Tax rules can change. Tax rules depend on what happens with their election in November. Tax rules could be changing. We already know that the Tax Act from 2017 is sunsetting next year. So next year we're going to be rolling up our sleeves, getting some work done to figure out how that's going to affect us in the future. Because next year we should have an idea whether they're going to extend or let those things expire.
Right, because we're waiting on the election. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then aside from taxes, there's always just stuff going on. There may be health reasons. Sure. You may want to move out of state because your kids moved out of state. You want to move with them. There's all sorts of things that may go into your plan. So I definitely recommend, even if you don't want to meet twice a year, we got to go over this at least once a year. And even if we're not meeting live, we got to go over this. You got to continually update the plan.
Yeah,
super
important.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. And mentioning taxes there, Coach, Magic 8 Ball, will my retirement plan be affected by future tax changes? I mean, we just talked about it, so we don't have to go into great detail. But look, one way or another, something's coming, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the Magic 8 Ball in this says if taxes are going to affect it, is the signs point to yes. Sure. Because that's definitely going to happen in the future. Taxes are constantly changing, and not just the federal level, also at the state level.
True.
And now we're even worrying about estate taxes coming back into play, where we have to start worrying about that. So taxes will affect you in retirement. It's something we always have to talk about. Even if the tax laws don't change, right, we still got to be looking at taxes in retirement, because that's that's the elephant in the room. We alluded to this earlier in this podcast, that again, you have a unwitting partner that's kind of sitting in your living room eating your food and being a deadbeat, taking all your stuff.
And it's not a teenager.
So the government's doing. I don't know if the government's quite doing that, but we use that as an analogy here. You can't get rid of this person. They won't leave until you actually pay them off.
And again, not to try to be too political, but it's almost impossible in today's environment. But policy you can discuss, right? Policy you could try to say, okay, look, we're going to talk a little policy and pull that politicizing out of it. So run your numbers and stress test things on what might happen should tax rates be raised. One candidate is looking at various things that's going to raise tax rates. At least stress test that so you know what you're dealing with, right?
Which
so it gives you, it gives you an idea. Well, I mean, you can't control if they do or not, but at least you can kind of stress test what it's going to do, the damage it could do to you, right?
So absolutely. And that is something that I will do. That as a multiple on the reports I'll do. There's multiple columns depending on what your what ifs may be.
Exactly.
Okay, this is how this is going to affect it. That's how that's going to affect it. So, and I enjoy it because I'm a nerd. So I like doing this kind of stuff.
Nerding out. All right, final one here. Should I consider working with a financial professional as I near retirement? Magic 8 Ball.
This is a different answer than I got in junior high when I want to know if Debbie really liked me. But the answer for having a financial professional is definitely yes. Mm-hmm. So that is something that as I get older, and I've been involved in this industry for many, many years now, I don't know how people do this on their own. Not to say that there aren't some people that do it on their own and maybe have some sort of success. There are so many things flying around right now that I don't know how you can work without a financial professional. And if it's not me, somebody else, but you need to have somebody that can, there's distribution planning, there is estate planning, there's beneficiary planning, taxes, just your portfolio, how you have your portfolio allocated. There's just so much going on. I just don't know how people do this without an advisor. And then we already discussed just a second ago, how to continue to stay on top of that. Now, again, if you want to nerd out on your own and do this by yourself, good, go for it. Good luck. And I will be happy if you can succeed, but there's just a lot going on. I would highly recommend, and I always tell people, we do charge for our services, but we could pay our own way. We really can. So it's something that's well worth any small incremental cost. Make sure you have the peace of mind throughout your entire retirement.
Yeah. Well, Magic 8 Ball and Coach say yes, unlike Debbie, who said don't count on it, I'm guessing, but junior high. So again, if you got some questions, you need some help, you should always reach out to a qualified pro like Coach. And let's jump into the 2-minute warning here, Coach. All All right, so we got an email question from Steve, and Steve says, I'm 58 and was just informed by my company that I'm getting laid off in 60 days. Oh, man, sorry to hear that, buddy. I'll be able to stay on the company health insurance plan, he says, for 1 year, and will be given a 6-month severance package. Here's my question. I have the option of taking the monthly income on the pension or the lump sum. How do you work through those processes, those steps, to try to figure out the best solution for something like that?
That's a great question. It's actually a very typical question. I do see this kind of thing a lot where people have the choice, lump sum or pension. And I'll just crunch the numbers. I kind of like I was talking about earlier in this podcast. I have a dynamic distribution strategy that I use with my clients. So we'll take a look at that lump sum and we'll say, okay, if we were to have that under our control, what was the distribution rate on that? On the other hand, if you are going to annuitize it from their end, we'll see what they're going to offer. And sometimes the numbers are still going to be very comparable. And then at that point, then it comes down to perhaps control or flexibility that you may want to have outside of the company 401k or any kind of a lump sum they may have. So there's, distribution rate, control. We actually will crunch the numbers and do the math. At the end of the day, I don't tell people what to do. I kind of present the information. And 9 times out of 10, they will want to roll the money over and just take the distribution. Rarely do I have people just taking the lump sum and blowing it all in Vegas. That's not something that people do a whole lot of.
Right.
Or they'll buy maybe an
or trying to figure out if you can kind of recreate what the pension's offering. I guess it really comes down to
That's what we're trying to do. Yeah. So we're trying to match the numbers here and see how close they are. Again, from our end, from their end. When they're annuitizing, they're doing it from their own actuarial tables. From our end, we're doing it from our academic strategies that we use. They're usually very similar, actually. So I imagine they're also using academic strategies as well from their end. But I compare them. If we're off by 1/10 or 1/100th of a point, that's so be it. But again, then from there we look at control, our ability to do tax strategies. There are a lot of compelling reasons why you may want to roll that money over into a self-directed IRA, but we have to discuss that. It's not one size fits all, and there's a lot that can go into it. But it's a great question. It's a typical question, and one you actually need to crunch the numbers to get the answer you need.
Yeah, and there's all the other factors from person to person that go into that as well. So certainly worthwhile to sit down with an advisor and run those numbers. So thanks, Steve, for checking out the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to us on Apple or Spotify in audio form and YouTube for video content as well. There's shorts on there from Coach and little short reels and 60-second sound bites and things of that nature, as well as the full videos. So check all that stuff. Check the show descriptions in the below here of the description of the show this week, and that way you can catch any links or whatever you need to do. And if you need to reach out to Coach and get on the calendar, make sure you hit him up at bookachatwithjohn.net. That's bookachatwithjohn.net, or visit him on mearsmoney.com. That's mearsmoney.com. And thanks, Coach, for hanging out. Appreciate it, buddy.
You're welcome. Nice talking to you. It was a lot of fun.
As always, and good luck with the rest of the season. We won't jinx you too much. Yes. Hang in there, and we'll catch you next time here on Red Zone Retirement Program, Simple Investing, Smart Future with Coach John Mears.
Advisory services offered through Mears Money Management, Inc., an RIA registered in the states of California and Texas. California Department of Insurance License number 0685203.
John has a couple of free books, Diffuse and Tax-Free Retirement in California, that reveal exactly how you can experience zero taxes in retirement and overcome the IRS lien on your 401k, IRA, and 403b, which could threaten your future lifestyle. These are complimentary, so all you have to do to pick these up 100% free is just stop by RescueMyRetirement.net. That's RescueMyRetirement.net. Fill in the basic info and he'll ship those out to you immediately. That's RescueMyRetirement.net for a copy of Diffuse and Tax-Free Retirement in California.